All right, guys, just a quick video on the elements of drama, what they are, how do you remember them, and how to use them in discussion. The format for this video will be as so. So what's going to happen is I'll give you a description, I'll try and explain it as best as possible, and then I'll flash to another slide. Now, if you want to complete some questions and some journal entries to try and really consolidate your understanding, I suggest you pause the video, look at the picture that I've provided and answer the question. However, I will not be stopping in this, I'll be continuing straight through. All right, so let's look at all of our elements of drama, okay? And this is, as of 2020, current SCARSA list: atmosphere, audience, character, dramatic tension, language and text, metaphor, mood, relationships, role, situation, space, symbol, and time, okay? So remembering the EODs, the elements of drama, the best way to do so is through what we call a mnemonic, all right? It's the easiest way to remember such drama terminology. My suggestion is look at my example down here and try and make up your own, all right? The funnier it is, or the more personable it is, the more likely you'll be to remember it. So here's an example. Some rhinos really suck at doing most mundane tasks like stacking chairs. That's supposed to be with a C instead of just a K, I apologize, but stacking chairs, okay? So let's go into our elements of drama and what they are. Atmosphere, pause if you need to read the top definition. That's going to be the SCARSA definition, but I'll provide to you a bit of an explanation on each. Atmosphere is the general feeling of the performance, okay? It's passive. It's not created by the designers and the actors. It's created through a whole bunch of different things. So atmosphere kind of inherently pops up, all right? So it's a general feeling or sense or a series of emotions that are felt in one particular time, okay? So pause the video if you would like to answer this kind of question. Audience. Audience is all about who is watching your performance. Who are the people who are watching? How many are there of them? And in what capacity are they watching? Are they watching through a proscenium arch, directly forward? Are they situated all around the action, theatre in the round? Okay, so it's really key to consider how many people are watching and what kinds of age brackets or genders or cultural groups are you trying to cater to, all right? And you need to identify them, okay? Pause the video if you would like to answer this question. Character. Character is all about who you are watching, and you can describe them in multiple different ways. The way that SCARSA wants you to describe them is through social, cultural, and historical context, okay? What makes up their social context? Their social status, the groups, the people that they hang around with, their relationships with the people around them. What makes their cultural status? You know, where do they come from? Where do they originate? What's their nationality? What's their background? And then historical context. What's happened in the past that has led them to the moment that you are seeing them on stage in that very moment, okay? And every character needs to have relationships and a purpose, all right? And what we call an objective. So every character has an objective, and the play is them trying to meet that objective. They succeed, they don't succeed. It's up to the playwright to dictate that. Pause this here if you would like to answer this question. Dramatic tension. Dramatic tension is what drives drama. Okay, dramatic tension is interest, it's engagement. And what I have said here is your aim as an actor is to create, develop, build, and then resolve dramatic tension. You want it to skyrocket, hit your climax, and then you want it to be resolved, okay? A lot of really wicked plays out there don't resolve the dramatic tension. That's completely up to the playwright again and the director. But the idea is that it follows that Aristotle linear plot structure, okay? Stop it here, pause the video here if you'd like to answer that question. Language and text. It's quite difficult to talk about language and texts. But what it is language is the spoken word or the written word. So anything that's spoken or written down on a set, in a performance. And text refers to what the playwright has created for you. Okay, so you know, that's important to consider if you're doing an interpretation or a reinterpretation. Are you interpreting the text and trying to create exactly what the playwright intended, or are you reinterpreting it and trying to give it your own spin? Pause the video here if you'd like to answer this question. Metaphor. Metaphor means exactly the same as it does in other educational realms like English. Metaphor is all about presenting one image that is supposed to represent another image, okay? So the example they give you in SCARSA is, here's a line of a man. They want the man to seem courageous and strong and animalistic, so they call him a lion, okay, because that's the metaphor. But it's all about that symbolic value. You know, what are you presenting on stage in order to speak figurative volumes about something else, okay? And it can be speaking volumes about the set, the environment, it can be about the character, but a metaphor is an image that is supposed to represent something else. Pause the video here if you would like to answer this question. Mood. Mood is difficult. Mood is very closely linked to atmosphere, okay? And many people have a difficult time trying to distinguish the difference between the two, okay? Mood is inherently what are the emotions, the feelings, the sensations that the director and the design team and the actors intend for their audience to have. What do you intend? What do you want your audience to feel, to see, and to evoke? What do you want to evoke from your audience? Okay, so and then you need to consider, what are you doing? So you might be manipulating lighting. Okay, so the images here, so the blue lighting gives this kind of, and the green floral arrangement, and the kind of like smooth texture at the bottom of the stage. It all adds to this magical, almost underwater mood that we get. So we're kind of we're kind of roped into that picture based on all of those figures, all of those elements. Okay, so mood is what is intended. What are you intending the emotions, the sensations, the feelings for your audience to have? Okay, pause the video here if you'd like to answer this question. Relationships, very, very important and really, really interesting and quite easy to talk about in written exams and written texts. Relationships refers to a character and another character. Okay, so it could be multiple characters. There are three types of primary relationships that you need to remember. Okay, there's lots of different ones. So there's fixed and variable to start with. They're kind of overarching. Is it fixed? Does it stay the same the entire time? Or is it variable? Does it change? Is it like a roller coaster that's up and down and up and down? Okay, but the three that I want you guys to consider are cooperative, okay, which means that you are working together with another person, another character. So two characters are working cooperatively. So all these images, the two images above me, the relationships are cooperative between both of them. They both look like they are on the same wavelength. They look happy. They're positively interacting. That's a cooperative relationship. Neutral relationship is the second one, where you might be sitting at the same table. You might be both doing completely different things. One man might be reading a newspaper. One woman might be eating off her plate. They're not making eye contact. It's not cooperative. They're not engaged in any positive interaction. It's just that they're both in the same space at the same time. And then the last one is adversarial, which is your enemies. Okay, so your arch enemies. So your body language, your movement, or your voice could be quite harsh towards another character. You might be attacking them. You might be running away from them. You might be shaming them. That's that adversarial relationship, that enemy relationship. Okay, so and you always want to establish which one of the three you are presenting or that you see. Pause it here if you'd like to answer this question. Role. Role is very similar to character, and again, like mood and atmosphere, they're mixed up quite a bit. Now, role can refer to two main things. Firstly, a role is any nondescript character. So the Robert Wilson production just above my head, you can see that there are a number of silhouettes. They don't represent characters because they're pigments, okay? And they're a series of the exact same representation. They don't have personalities. They don't have any multifaceted elements that make them any different from one another. They are roles, okay? And a role is exactly that, a nondescript character, something that exists as a presence, but isn't necessarily multifaceted or two or three dimensional. Those silhouettes are literally one dimensional, okay? A role can also be the kind of purpose of a character in the production, their purpose, what drives them, and that is the role that they fill, okay? So for instance, if we look at Angela Betzian's hoods, a really, really awesome performance. We have two hoods who operate as both roles. They operate as roles and characters, but their primary role is to tell a story. They're storytellers, okay? And that's how we can consider that one there. Pause this here if you'd like to answer this question. A couple more. Situation. Situation's nice and simple. It's all about exposition. Your situation is what, who, what, when, where, why, and how, okay? And it all exists at the start of a performance, start of a play, or start of a scene. And it's all about where are we, what is occurring, and how is it being explained and presented to the audience, okay? Nice and simple. Pause it here if you'd like to answer this question. Space. Space, there's two definitions of space. There's kind of a theatre space, the type of space, what is the space that you're performing in, like these two images up here, and what do you have to consider about those particular spaces when performing in them, what's unique about those spaces. And the secondary space is the space immediately around the actor's body. what are you doing with the space immediately around your body in order to present your character? So really nervous characters use minimal space. They contract inwards, okay? They use small amount of space inwards, very small gestures close to the body. Whereas confident characters open up. They use wider space. Their gestures are wider of their body, okay? To kind of represent their extroverted nature, okay? So that introvert, small, versus extrovert, large. Pause here if you'd like to answer this question. Symbol, 2 more. Symbol. Symbol is very similar to metaphor as well. Metaphor is one particular image and it will represent one particular idea, and it's usually a bit more clear-cut, okay? This is a metaphor for this. Symbol and symbolism can be far-reaching. So you might simply present just and what I've written here is dressing a character in ruby red to symbolize her passionate nature. And that's what it might symbolize. However, dressing them in ruby red could also symbolize a lot of other things, including sexuality. It could also represent just pure love. It could represent blood, okay? So they're all symbolic values of just one simple color. So with symbol, you get a bit more creative flow. You get a bit more creative space to work. So symbolism is all about presenting images, colors, aspects, elements that inherently have some sort of added duality or added value. There's something else behind it, okay? A lot of people do this accidentally, but most proficient and most efficient directors and designers will do this specifically. They will specifically incorporate elements, colors, things to have a symbolic value, to symbolize something else. Yellow to symbolize sun and happiness, blue to symbolize welcoming or sadness, orange to symbolize sunrise or sunset, black to symbolize power or ominous or darkness, okay? Pause it here if you'd like to answer this question. And then the last one, time. Time refers to two things, okay? And what I've written down here is a really good way to think about it. Time is simple, okay? Time is, when is the play set, okay? In what year? What time of the day is it? How much time does it take for an event to occur? And then lastly, time is all about kind of pace. How long does it take for something to occur? So an action of a character. How long does it take him to do a gesture? Okay, so if you point really slowly, that takes a longer amount of time. And what's the effect of that? Whereas if you point quite quickly and aggressively and erratically, what's the effect of that? And how is it different? Okay, so a lot to consider. Pause it here if you would like to answer this question. But that's all for now. That wraps up the elements of drama. And look, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. However, I feel like these elements of drama, you can really consolidate it and wrap your head around it the more you look at them and the more that you use the language in your everyday lives, okay? So when you're approaching drama in a practical or written sense, use these words and use them frequently to try and wrap your head around them. But that's it for now, guys. Hope it was helpful. Thank you very much.